Well, this one's going to require a sterile work environment. So we've got a nice, clean cloth. Okay, so what we got here is a alternator controller out of a 172. It's like a 1979, 1980, I can't remember. 172. Pulled it out of the trash bin, which is probably where it's going back to unless I can find someone who can overhaul these things. So basically, here's the electrical diagram that they give you with the airplane. I just downloaded it offline. So what was happening is this airplane, as I was flying along, the battery would come up to, what it seemed like was happening, the battery would come up to charge, right? And then it would kick the alternator offline when that would happen. This electrical diagram doesn't really give us much in the way of why that would be the case. If you would allow the battery to discharge, the longer you would allow it to discharge, I should add by flipping the switch off, the longer the alternator would stay online. So it really seemed like it was tied to the battery. This is out of a 172RG, again, downloaded it offline. This at least gives us a little more insight into what might be going on here. So we got a whole bunch of wires. Same basic thing though. You got some monitoring for the alternator. See that here as well. There's a field breaker, which is here, so that's going to control the. So the alternators are not self-exciting in airplanes like they are in cars. So you have to have some electricity across it to get it to excite. So there's a separate circuit breaker for the field if something were to break down on that side of the thing, the alternator. That would pop separately. Although it kind of looks like that's controlled off the... So this thing will manually pop it. Or not manually. Will electronically pop the circuit breaker. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, same thing over here. It shows that off the S terminal, whatever that is, goes here. And it doesn't actually list the alternator field. But I know that this airplane has one. Anyway, hopefully, I'm going to pop this open. I'm going to see something blatantly wrong, that, something blew up or let smoke out or burned up or whatever. I mean, these things are pretty old school, so it should be relatively simple to see at least kind of sort of what's going on in here. I'm not an electronics whiz by any means, but we'll go ahead and open her up and take a look. This thing's probably going to go out and get overhauled if I can find somebody to overhaul it. Obviously, I'm not certified to do airplane repairs, but I figured what the heck, since we got it, might as well take a quick little peek inside, if it'll come apart easily, and see what's going on. So these things are $350 new to get a replacement, which is insane. But airplane parts, airplane parts, just multiply whatever the equivalent car part should be by 3, and you get approximately what the price is going to come out to. I mean, the alternator on a Cessna is literally a alternator out of a 1950s Ford pickup that says approved airplane part on the side. And it costs, a Ford pickup alternator, if you were to go to AutoZone and get one, would probably be what, 80 bucks, 90 bucks, maybe 100. Airplane one is 500 because airplane. I'm gonna try and keep these screws kind of straight as to where they go. None of these screws match. I wonder if this has been, someone's been into this before. All 4 of those screws are different. Then this guy, different again. Alright, we got her apart. And my initial reaction here is that this is pretty horrific. This looks like something a freaking high schooler assembled in electronics class. I mean, seriously? This is what we got? Wow. Well, you can see the soldering. Get something to point with here. The soldering looks okay, but the cleanup on it, good God. I mean, all these little, how about if I get one that's straight? Man, I mean, they didn't trim any of these through-hole components. I mean, all the solder joints look okay. None of them look too dry. Yeah, none of them look too dry. Now on the front side, all we've got is a bunch of passives. Some sort of coil there. Diode. Got a MOSFET with some kind of sort of heat sinking. So they're relying on the, well, okay, I guess that's, yeah, okay, so that's in contact there. I don't see any obvious signs of anything letting the smoke out. Wow. I mean, I just can't believe that this thing costs, you know, $500 for a new one. Hopefully the new ones are a little better than this, but good God, this is just like something some high school student flung together. Pretty horrific. And I'm tempted to go through and trim all those posts that are sticking up. Oh my gosh, that's bad. But I guess if they're going to overhaul it, that might actually be useful, because it'll might be a little easier to desolder and resolder the board. I don't see any sort of mitigation for moisture or anything, like no Celastic, or what do they call it? That acrylic spray on or anything. None of these capacitors really have any mechanical fastening other than just being in the board. So that's not great either, because I mean, being in an airplane, that's a, yeah, I mean, look at that guy. It's flapping in the breeze. I mean, that's just going to cold work itself off of there eventually. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's pretty nasty. All right, anyway, so here's the electrical system for a 172. So this is the part that we've got out here. Now, what's interesting is they only show 3 wires coming out of there. I can't count very well, but I think that's more than 3. They just kind of go to random points on the board, don't they? This is the electrical system out of a 172 RG, which is basically the same thing. It was just a little better drawing. So what we got, how many wires do we have? We got 7 wires, and here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's still an extra wire. Okay, so I'm not great with electronics, so it's a little bit of a shot in the dark, but I'm guessing that this MOSFET, based on the fact that it's got this you know, heat sinking here, which is weird heat sinking because it's just a piece of plastic. There's a little piece of, it looks like, well, it's just the MOSFET itself, and then a piece of plastic, which is an insulator, and then diaper rash cream on the front and the back. So that seems awful odd to me, and then it's up against the aluminum housing there. I guess you could have some sort of insulation to keep it. Well, would you? No, because the screw's going through there and it's going to make contact. So that makes absolutely no sense to me why that plastic sheet is there. Yeah, I don't get that. I suppose if the thing goes kaboom, maybe you don't want it to short out. But I'm guessing that that's doing the main power switching. So this is probably the main control. Like when you flip the switch, it tells it to come on. That would make sense. I mean, it's in here on one of the pins. And then a couple of these are grounds. That's probably also a ground. So we've got, if we eliminate the 2 grounds, what we got left over here? Well, one of them is a ground, but we got yeah, there's 5 left, plus a ground. So I think this ground is kind of an extra ground. So one of these is going to be the voltage warning light. I'm going to guess man, the voltage warning light must come off of one of these little transistors. Well, and then there's some voltage monitoring across here. Huh, I don't know. Well, I was hoping to find some sort of smoking gun evidence that this thing let the smoke out or fried itself somehow. But I guess it's going to have to go into an overhaul shop because I guess I'm not really certified to work on it. Probably shouldn't even be taking it apart right now, but like I said, it's going to a professional shop at some point, if I can even find one. But there you go. That's what would be about a $500 airplane part. Looks like it was put together by some high school electronics kid. You know, I mean, geez, gosh, that's just horrific. I just can't believe that. Can't believe that. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully it was interesting.